What's going on, everyone? You've asked, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you exactly how I put together my metrics panel in all of my games and show you exactly how to do it. That way you can customize it to your liking, kind of the teach a man to fish approach. That way you know exactly what's going on, how it's working, what's going on with how you put the codes in. There's a lot of little things in there that are kind of, you wouldn't know unless someone showed you. I'm going to show you that today. Again, if you get something out of this, please consider subscribing. That goes a long way in helping me do these kind of things. So a little bit different one. We're not jumping into a game, but we're actually going to look at how I set up that metrics panel that you see on all of my different benchmarks. So let's jump into it. A lot of you have asked, like, how do you do that? And I say it's just MSI Afterburner with a lot of customizations. I'm going to walk you through how I customize it so that you can do something similar. You can do whatever you want. And that way, you know, you're kind of learning how to fish, and I'm not just giving you a file that you don't understand how it works. So right now we're going to just load up MSI Afterburner. I'm going to assume that you have installed that. You just search MSI Afterburner, install it, click next to everything. Make sure that it installs RivaTuner Statistics Server. Whenever you install it, it'll install two things. So you'll get the Afterburner and the server. All right, so just make sure everything looks like it looks here on your server. So to get to your server, if it's running, it's going to look like this little TV with like some red letters in the top of it, but just make sure you're seeing this right here. So you want to make sure it starts with Windows. You want to make sure it shows on-screen display, because if you don't have that checked, it goes away. All this is fine. Just make sure you match low detection level. That always has worked pretty well with any game. You know, stealth mode is more of like a AMD thing. It doesn't really affect anything. You just need to make sure that it's on. Frame rate limit. This is where you can artificially limit your frames if the game does not have something built into it. So on some of my different videos, I've stated you could like limit your frames for a better experience. That's where you would do this. All right. So on-screen display support, make sure that's on. Now right here, this is a big one because it's not clear. This is a very ill-designed program, in my opinion, but we're going to get through it. Raster 3D. All right. Make sure that Raster 3D is on and click that. Now this is where you're going to set your font. So if you notice, my font looks way more legible than probably what comes out of the box with this. You've all seen it. It's that like very mono-spaced looking like computer font. It's terrible. So I changed that. Mine's just Arial bold. Don't worry about the size. We're going to address that, but just go ahead and hit OK. And everything is going to, update to Arial, which is good. Viewport, leave that, and all this other stuff, just make sure you leave that on. This is just a size slider. I'm going to leave it quite large for this, just so that everyone can really see what I'm doing. Go ahead and move that over. All right, so with that set up, make sure you don't hit X. That will actually close it. It does not run in the tray. You have to hit minimize, and it will minimize to the tray. Like I said, this program is not like the best in the world, but it's what we got. All right, so open up Afterburner. So it's going to look like this icon right here. So MSI Afterburner, it's this little like jet coming out of a green circle. And make sure you're looking at something like this. Yours might not look like this. This is actually a template, or skin, I guess. And mine just, this is what it shipped with. Yours might look different. Anyway, go ahead and click this little gear or something that says settings, whatever. Just make sure you're looking at this screen. General, fan, monitoring, all that kind of stuff. Now, you need to make sure that you are on the GPU that you have installed that you want to monitor. So my AMD CPU has a built-in GPU. It's got, it's a 9800X3D. It's got its internal graphics. That's what's showing up as GPU 1. I don't really care about GPU 1. So I want to make sure I'm on GPU 2. All right? So when I'm on GPU 2, make sure everything here matches what I have set. Just kind of pause the video, make sure everything looks good right here. This is kind of like out-of-the-box settings. We're not really going to mess with this right now. You can do all kind of different stuff like overclock and all that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that right now. This is just focused on how to build this panel right. Where's my finger? Right here. This panel. All right. I didn't realize I was in the way. I need to get that to reduce. Let me move my big old head over. All right. There we go. Okay. So now we can see. All right. So what you need to do is go back into this. Make sure that you are on the monitoring tab. The first thing you need to do is come over to this little dots here. Now, I do my hardware polling every 500 milliseconds. That's how often it checks for updates. You can make this whatever you want. I have found that 500 is about right. You know, it updates frequently enough that it's not just like constantly spinning. So you can do whatever you want there, but that's what that means. All right, so click these little dots. All right, so what you need to do is hardware info will likely already be checked, and all this other stuff we're not going to worry about. Make sure that you check mark GPU.dll. That's going to give MSI Afterburner more more settings to reference, which is what we're going to do mainly for our GPU. All right, so we're going to make sure that we block our VRAM and our usage and all that stuff. So we need to make sure that that is activated. That's going to give us far more options. Now right here, I have GPU 1 highlighted here. This is just because whenever I put an AMD card in for testing, it shows up as GPU 1. To make this easier, I'm actually just going to slide these on out of the way. Just make this a lot easier to follow. Let me go ahead and get these out of the way. This program is not like pretty clunky, but you know, like I said, it's what we got. All right, so now all that is out of the way. So what we have here, and just make sure that you organize it in this way. You know, pause the video, whatever you want to do. I'll link it down below, not link, but you know, I'll give you a list of how to do this. But whenever you drag something, it's likely going to look like this. It's not going to be checked, and there's not going to be anything that says OSD. So when it says in OSD, that means in on-screen display. You need to make sure that is checked and that this down here is also checked. You need to check two things. You need to activate it, which tells the computer, hey, pay attention to this metric. And then you need to you need to enable it here that says show the metric. So two things, all right? And that's, you're going to do that for all these, all right? So you need the CPU usage, clock, temperature, and power. Then you need GPU. In my case, it's 2. Remember, you can reference it over here in general, see what you got. I got a 5070 loaded in today, so we're going to go GPU 2, usage, temperature, power, memory usage. This is where we're getting into that yellow section. This is why we enabled that GPU.dll. We're going to go GPU usage. That's going to give you your allocation. GPU memory usage / process. That's going to give you your used. GPU shared memory usage. That's going to give you your spilled VRAM. So in that, you know, whenever I see that number go up in some of my videos, I say, okay, we're spilling over. That's what that setting does right there. RAM usage is just your system RAM. I indicated that over here with SRAM. Then of course you've got your frame rate 1% lows, 0.1% lows, frame rate average, frame rate, and then frame time. And down here in the 1% lows, we're going to have to do something, and I'll tell you how to do that when we get to it, but you need to make sure that you have some settings enabled so that they actually show up. You need to basically tell it you're in benchmark mode, or they sometimes won't show up, but I'll cover that when we get to it. All right, so I'm running out of breath here. All right, so we're just going to go into here. So right here on CPU usage, if you come down here, everything's got this same layout down here, and you can kind of slide it down and look. So you want to override the group name, and this is where you're going to input this code right here. All right, this is what you're going to do, and I'm going to walk through what it's doing. So right here, you're saying anything after this code right here, make it white. So this is color equals FFFFF white. So it's just, you're using just hexadecimal colors. You can look up any color for your hexadecimal. Like over here, I have the Ryzen orange, and right here I have the, you know, the NVIDIA green. So that's why I do that. Anyway, you're saying, okay, make everything white, make the size of everything 40, and then give me a hard return. That's what this /n means. That is a hard return. So what this does right here is it gives me this little space, because otherwise it's like jammed up on this white or on this black background. It gives me this little bit of padding, and then gives me that, so that this right here, this /n, that is this space right here. All right. Now I've got 2 spaces. Those are these 2 spaces before the AMD 9800X3D. Because if you don't do this, all this crap will be slammed right up on this margin, and it looks hideous. So that right there, all this right here, just gets me to this point. All right. So after that, I want to make this larger because the gap here is size 40 font. Even though there's no font, it's just the gap. So what you need to do is say, okay, size, change it to 70. So this overrides anything. Let me go back. Let me go back. Sorry. All right. So that overrides anything. I accidentally clicked the game. I have to have a game going or it won't show up. All right, so that gives me these two spaces right here. Okay, so 70 space. All right. Now you've got AMD 9800X3D. All right. Now you've got another hard return, which is indicated right here by that /n. All right. Make sure you're following with me. Replay this section because this is very important. This is what's going to give you this nice clean layout. All right. So once you come down here, I want these to be larger than AMD 9800X3D because this is just more of a title separator. So now I want to change that size all the way up to 100. And instead of 2 spaces, 1, 2, 3 spaces, that gives me this gap right here. And then, of course, the color right here is, this is the hexadecimal for the Ryzen orange color. It might not be exactly, but that was what I was going for. So you can do whatever you want here. But this is what's going to control that color. And this will override any color in here. Doesn't matter. It'll override it. And then you're going to say usage. All right. So that's what that usage is. So this is where our code ends right here. Now, the white metrics over here, that is handled by the actual program itself. And that's a whole other section we'll cover. That's down in all this stuff right here. All right. That's like all these graph margins and stuff like that. We'll talk about that because all of it makes like almost no sense unless someone walks you through it. So now after that, all you have to do is just give the size. So right here, I'm just going to bring it back over. So this is the next, this is what clock has. All right. So as you can see, I gave it a size. Always give it a size. And then give it your spacing. So this is another 1, 2, 3 spaces of size 100 clock. Next one, you've got temperature. All right. So I'm building this as we go because I'm going to put it down in the description. Gave it a size. Always give it a size. Space, temp. All right. Now, as you can guess, the next one is power. All right. So it ends on power. All right. Size equals 100, space, power. Okay, everybody with me? Now we need a gap here. So we're going to put that gap on this one. And it's going to look a lot like what we did at first. Let's see. Copy that. All right. Paste that in. All right. So now we have to build this gap again. Right now we're going to make it white because GPU is white. Now, if this is where you can come in instead of say GPU. I change GPUs a lot, obviously, for testing. So I just change it to GPU because I'll forget and like I'll have a video that isn't right. But you can put like RTX 9070 or whatever, or RX 9070 or whatever the name of your GPU is. You can put it here. So in this case, you would put RTX 5070. All right, so white here, okay? So this is before the space. It's saying anything after this, make it white. Make it a size 70, all right? So now we have the GPU as a size 70 because that is the size of AMD 9800X3D. So we're establishing consistency. So we got a 70, size 70 for our font. Again, another hard return. So boom, hard return. Then we need to say, hard return here. So it comes down. Then we need to say space right here. So that is space right here. GPU, another hard return down to usage. Set the size back to 100 to get that like bigger font with the larger gap. Give it 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. Give it the color you want, which is this right here. This is the NVIDIA, or a green that looks like NVIDIA. I think this is actually the NVIDIA green, but it shows up kind of dark, but I changed it. This sets your color. So your color will be, this right here, and then usage. Now on your hexadecimal, you do not need the pound sign. Just put the 6 digits in this case it's 8. But yeah, put the 6 digits in. All right, so that gives you usage. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing all over again. Make sure you have that override. We're just going to copy this, all right, and then come down here, paste it. So that gives you your temp. And then here, same exact thing, all right. Come back here, that gives you your power. All right, so the next thing we need to do is build another gap, which we'll do right here. So we're gonna, whoops, I hit the wrong button. All right, select. I'm trying to build this out over here so you guys can actually see it because there's no way to expand this, which drives me crazy with this app. All right, so exact same thing. Build your color to be white. Give it your size of 70. So we're gonna give it a 70, a size 70 hard return to get down to this memory. I'm going to give it 2 spaces, which are over here, right before it says memory. These are those 2 spaces. Memory, another hard return. Bring it back up to size 100. Give it the color you want. In this case, I just selected yellow because, you know, it didn't clash. Yellow. And then anything after that, we're going to name it SRAM. Now, here's what I'm doing here. All right. So to get SRAM or VRAM A, which is allocation, you're just going to say VRAM. You're going to change your size again. And in this case, size 60 looked good. Give it the A, right? Now you want to set it back to 100 so that anything after that A matches what you have here. So in this case, it would be your actual readout. You want to make sure that that is always set to 100 before it gets to that. So that's why this is at the end. Instead of saying size 60 and then nothing, if you did that, then this would be much smaller and it would look weird. You want to make sure you set it back to 100, all right? Now the next thing is just go through that process again, how we've been doing. All right, so we're going to come into here. We're going to give it size, give it the color we want, which is yellow, and then give it your spacing, which is these spaces right here. VRAM, do the exact same thing. Size equals to 60. Give it U for used. Then set your size back to 100 so that you have this looking right. That way it's not all weird and small. All right. Next thing, again, same exact thing. Come into here, paste that. All right. So this sets your size again, sets your color again. You don't always have to set the color, but I think in this particular case, I had to set the color for some reason. It's not a bad idea to manually control it anyway. So, if you're experiencing that, just whatever you put in here will absolutely override everything else. So I set that back to yellow. Come back into here, got your VRAM, set the size to 60, and then pop your S in there. This stands for shared VRAM or spilled VRAM. And then you set it back to 100. That way your metrics over here don't look bad. All right. Next thing is RAM. All right. So we're going to come into here, highlight it all, paste it. All right. So same thing. Set your size to 100, even though it already is. I like to just do it anyway. Set your color to yellow. Give it 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then set your SRAM. If you don't do this part, if you don't set the size, it will ignore your spaces. So always set your size, because if you don't do that, then it'll just act like these aren't here. And you want that nice margin. You want that nice bit of padding. It just looks better. It makes it easier to read, especially if you get into doing what I'm doing. You want your audience to be able to tell what the hell you have on your screen, right? All right, so this brings me to your frame rate, your 1% lows, all that kind of stuff. So kind of the same exact thing, except these are going to be a little bit different, and I promised that I would cover that. All right, so kind of the same thing we've been seeing. Set your color to white. Give it a space, a hard return right here. So you're going to drop down to hard return. Set your size to 70 so that we all match everything up here, like AMD, GPU, memory. So I just named it performance logs. You can name it whatever you want. I thought that was kind of fitting. Give it a hard return, okay? And then give it your size, and then give it your color. And then give it your spaces. So these are the spaces right here that kind of bring it off of that left edge. And then 1% low. All right. This is pretty straightforward. Now, do the exact same other thing here. So this is going to be are 0.1% lows. So you don't need all that stuff at the beginning because you're not doing any sort of hard return. It will automatically put it on another layer for you. So you got your color set. So I set the color back to this purple color because up here I set it right here. All right. And then I set it again and set the size so that it honors my spacing, and then 1% low. All right, good to go there. Now for these, I got to poke around a little bit because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that you have to have, and say it's not in there. This is always so hard to find. I believe it is actually in this here. Go to setup. Yeah, this is where we're at. Okay. So I'm just going to run through what I just did. So come down here, find your little TV screen, which is your actual, this RivaTuner Statistics thing, and click on it, and it's going to open this guy. Okay, you want to go to Setup here, and what you want to make sure is that all this matches what I have here. All right, so frame start, average, integral, and ring. This will sometimes be set to unlimited. Make sure you have that set to ring. If you don't, then sometimes it will not show your 1% lows. And also make sure that you enable benchmark mode right here. All right. So if this all looks good, your 1% lows and your 0.1% lows, they'll show up. So you got to make sure those are checked and then just hit OK. All right. So now we've kind of got through that. That's kind of the last hurdle, other than the frame time graph. It's kind of weird, but I'm going to cover that too. All right, so where were we? We have to go through our frame rate average. All right, so frame rate average, same thing, nothing too bad at all. Set your color, set your size, give it your spacing, type in what you want it to say. So in my case, average frame rate, whatever, All right, so down here in frame rate, we need another space, so we're going to have kind of that same thing happen again. So we're going to give it a white color so we can have real-time performance. Give it a hard return, set the size to 50 this time because this is, I kind of wanted this to be a little bit tighter and smaller because of this graph here. To each their own here, do whatever you want, but that's what I did. So you can actually set this to, set it to our previous size, which was, I believe it was, 40? I forget what it was, but you can do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. All right, so just going to leave that there. See, what size was it? Just so if you wanted to look exactly like mine. Okay, it was 50. All right. All right, so this will give you your real-time performance, which is your FPS and your frame rate graph down there. So that blue line down there at the bottom, that'll give you your how smooth your game is running. So same exact thing, real-time performance, give it your size, give it a hard return right here. Give it your color, which in this case is this blue color, and then give it your spaces, 1, 2, 3. So that gives us that gets us to here. That gets us to FPS, and then it'll take care of this white part for you. All right. So this part down here, this is also a little bit tricky. What you want to do is you want to make sure that your frame time graph is set to graph here, not text and graph, but graph. All right. And then you want to override the graph name right here. Okay, so this is in a different location. All right, so copy that and bring it down here. All right, so you want to set the size to 60 and then call it frame time. Even though you're not seeing frame time, it'll sometimes show up, sometimes it won't. It's a little weird. This is a little bit of a different beast down here, but if you have it set here, it'll show up like it is here, and I'll kind of show you where that frame time comes into play. Because we're going to jump over to, let's see, where is it? I'm trying to remember here. I believe it's here. Yep, it's here. Okay. So this is where your master colors are. We're overriding our colors, so you don't necessarily need to worry about that too much. But if you are having issues with any of these metrics right here, these white, Celsius, wattage, all the different like actual readouts, find out what color it is. So if these are like red, then come in here and change the red to white or whatever color you want it to be. All right. So, that's where you can adjust this. You can set them all to white and then control everything and have no problems at all. But this is probably the most confusing part to me when it comes to the colors. So that's why I just like to override all of them. It makes it so much easier. All right. But if you come down here, and as you can see, you've got manual override or, global overrides here, which do what you want. I like to just override them in the actual section down there. All right, so what you're looking for is graph. That's going to control this right here. So graph width, all right? So if you say graph width minus 20 and apply it, that's going to actually bring it way out. So it's opposite of what you think it would be. Minus 20 will bring it way out. So you just have to play with this and see where a good, what a good number is. In my case, it's 10. It keeps everything nice and lined up. You know, you don't have any kind of like weird gap going all the way up the side or anything. But right here is where you're going to play with all these different things. So margin will give you, oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Margin will give you like, let's double it. Margin will give you a little margin right here if you want to scoot it over a little bit. You know, these are just like very small refinements right here that you can do. And it's kind of just up to you. You know, I mean, if you want a really tall graph for some reason, you can make that 30 and it brings it way down. You know, but I don't really want to do that. So I just like kind of keeping everything nice and tight, nice and clean, nice margins. And that's basically how you do this. You know, I know that this has kind of been like a really quick look at it, but I kind of wanted to just get this documented. That way you have it, you can reference it. And if you have any questions about this, you know, of course, drop a comment down there. And, you know, make sure that you are installing, if you're on a 50 series card, make sure you install the beta version of this. For whatever reason, that is the only one that has consistently worked with any of my 50 series cards. So, yeah, just make sure you're using the beta. It works just fine with everything else. Keep it updated. It does like to stay updated. You know, as games come out, they have different hook parameters, and it kind of keeps up with that for you. So just make sure you stay updated. I know this program is a little clunky, but hopefully this kind of demystifies it. And all this junk that I typed in right here, I'll put it down there, as well as type out the order in which to, you know, create this list. And then that way you can reference it along with, I mean, you print it out on a piece of paper, whatever you want to do, and reference it along with watching this. And you'll be able to replicate this as well as customize it however you'd like to customize it. All right. So that's kind of the main thing, is I wanted people to be able to do it themselves without just like downloading a file and stick it in a folder and not understanding what the hell was going on. So anyway, I hope this has been informative, and you know, thank you for, you know, there's been a couple dozen people ask me about making a video like this or how I did it. So hopefully this will give you a good frame of reference, and until next time, we'll see you in another game. But yeah, this has been just kind of a quick info video. So we'll see you in the next one. Hang in there. Peace out.